Well, I will get right into this interview like everybody else and ask you about your early days in your life, but I really don't give a shit about your early days in your life in New Hampshire.
Hash brown town.
No, I really don't give a fuck about
Great
you and
place.
your middle class life growing up so fucking beautiful. I really don't give a shit. I really want to get right into it and, and ask you about the up and coming artists and why you don't do that shit no more. As far as, how that shit blew you up and shit like that.
I mean, I feel like I still interview up and coming artists all the time. It does feel like, at a certain point with my platform getting bigger and bigger, that it's just sometimes there's just a lot of underground rappers who they just don't, they'll be asking for an interview and I'm looking at it and it either looks fake to me because it's like, oh, it's obvious to me that the label is just pumping money into this, or there's somebody buying plays, or there's somebody who, a lot of times it's like it fucks it up when you meet the manager and you realize how thirsty they are, and you realize this isn't like some young artist who's just got a lot to say and they're out here with energy and creativity, like the way that when I first met Lil Peep, X, all these people. It just felt like they really had something to say. Like they were really an artist, and to the extent that there was a manager around them or whatever, that person was just facilitating what this person already wanted to do. Nowadays, I just feel like I meet people, especially, it was worse during the SoundCloud rap bonanza.
Is it because of the music changed and everything changed around the SoundCloud thing and how people putting out their music and shit like it?
Yeah, when people realized they could make millions and millions of dollars by just signing some kid with green hair, that's when the whole thing got really flooded. And I like interviewing up and coming rappers. I also realized at a certain point that that's probably one of the main things that No Jumper needs is just people that could do those kind of interviews, because a lot of times it just doesn't feel like I feel like my fans want to see me interview people who are a little bit more established, not somebody who's brand new, one song with 20,000 plays. I'm sorry, I just don't have the time. It doesn't seem like a good use of my time.
Yeah, and you can't really, I mean, you can, but I don't know if they hit you up like that or whatever the case may be, but this shit is so saturated as far as the podcast world and the interview world. It's just so saturated to where you probably can't even get those fucking top tier artists, because they'll fucking go over here to Nori and they'll fucking go over here to $1 million worth of game and shit like that.
That's where you have to make your choices. Do you want to just do the interviews with whoever falls into your lap, or do you want to go out there and fight to get the interview? Do you want to fly across the country, go because I see Act doing it. Act flew over here just to do the Roddy Ricch interview. Yeah, I respect that, because Roddy Ricch is basically one of the most talked about guys right now. There's a whole lot of controversy around him. That's a super important interview for him to get. To be honest, am I flying to New York to interview one person? I mean,
yeah. Maybe
maybe if it's super important, or maybe if I only cared about being an interviewer at this moment, and if I didn't care about just sort of enjoying life and being part of this business and running this business and stuff. I don't know. I respect people who go hard as fuck to get that one interview, but it also I can't imagine an interview important enough for me to fucking fly across the country and totally disrupt everything else I got going on at this point.
Well, I'm fucking new at this. I mean, I gotta fucking sit around here and interview the lower tier artists, because the top tier artists, they don't give a shit.
But I also, it's so much more interesting to interview a Treyway 6K than to interview a SoundCloud rapper number 4099, because when I'm interviewing a dude who I know is really from somewhere out here, who really has a story, who's been through shit, who's been in and out of jail, etc., that's way more interesting to me than a lot of those SoundCloud rappers that people think is so great to interview them and stuff. They literally have nothing to talk about. They have not lived.
Well, around those SoundCloud rappers, when you were doing it, they were big, and it's right now. I feel like it's still a lot of animosity because you are growing and they're not, and and I mean, you definitely were around. I mean, you based your career off of what they were doing, and they were hot around that time. And I just want to know, how do you feel about people saying they started you? You feel me? And you're not giving them the right recognition, and still fucking with them.
It's weird when I think about it, because in the BMX days, what did I do? I started this platform, and I started to have a platform that people were paying attention to, that had an audience and everything. What did I do though? Then I was never a great bike rider. I went and I found dudes who I thought were super talented, and I made them wear my fucking t-shirts, and I promoted the fuck out of them, and I got them sponsored and took them on trips and filmed them, etc. And that made my business bigger because I found young talented dudes who maybe weren't being fully utilized at that time and helped blow them up and had them basically be, you know, kind of the face of my brand and everything. And when I think about what's going on with No Jumper, when I think about interviewing artists, when I think about all this shit, it's like, or even the OnlyFans thing, I clearly have an ability to spot talent early on, and then to be able to maximize the utility of that and optimize their career in a way that ideally helps them as well as helps me and the brand. And so a lot of that was like that same mentality I had from BMX, where when I saw a young Lil Pump and I went to his show and met him and hung out with him, and I realized like, oh shit, this dude's it. Like, this dude is popular. They fucking love him. He's blowing up fast. I need to, you know, stay around it, work this, etc., and, you know, have a mutually beneficial relationship, which I'm sure he would have said it was at the time. And then, you know, at a certain point, some of these people, like the same thing with the BMX thing, is like, I'll find someone, they'd be the best rider in the world, I'd be filming them every day for a couple of years, and then one day, all of a sudden, you know, they tear their fucking knee, and it's like, they're not around for a couple of years. And it's kind of the same thing with the rap shit, except now I don't get that close to people. Now I do the interview.
But around that time, you had a lot of organic, real relationships. Yeah. And I want to bring a couple names up. I mean,
the store was good for those organic relationships because people would just be walking by and boom, hey, how you doing? Boom, we're friends. All right, guys, we hit 50,000 subscribers. Our next goal is 100,000 subscribers, so make sure you click that button to subscribe. We appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you.